Hey guys. Alright, this is the video for Treasure Island Lesson 14. Hopefully I don't have any issues with recording or saving the video or errors in uploading it, because for Lesson 13, the last video, it took me 4 attempts before I was finally successful in uploading that video. So I'm sorry if that one went up a little bit later in the day, but yeah, it was frustrating, but it's up there now. So lesson 14, hopefully no issues, fingers crossed. It's just workbook pages since we finished the chapter. So we don't have anything to read, we're just working in the workbook. So if you can open your workbook up to page 115, that's where we're beginning. So some of this stuff we're going to kind of explain and then you're going to do on your own. Some of it we'll do together. So you can either pause the video to complete it when I tell you to, or you can save some of this stuff until the end, okay? So on page 115, this first page, in the back, it says reflect on Treasure Island. So we are just reflecting on the story that we read. Okay, the whole thing, not a certain chapter. It's just kind of opinion questions and what do you think type questions, okay? So I'll give you some sentence starters for some of these, but as we go through, you can pause it and write your answer or save this until later, but go back and do this afterwards, okay? So number 1, the story follows Jim on his journey to discover buried treasure. Based on the following passage, how would you describe Jim's reaction when he finally finds the treasure? Use evidence from the text to support your answer. So this is a paragraph from chapter 9, the one we just read, about when Jim first sees the treasure. So how would you describe this reaction? Okay, it says, in the flickering light of the cave, I beheld heaps of coins and stacks of golden bars. That was Flint's treasure that we had come so far to seek, and that had already cost the lives of a number of men. How many lives had it cost to gather all of this gold? How many seamen had been shot or marooned or sent to the bottom of the ocean? There's no way to tell. So that was Jim's reaction to when he first found the treasure, right? Or when he first sees it. How would you describe that reaction? Because I would have thought he'd be very excited and happy to find the treasure, right? But I don't get that feeling from this. So, sentence starter, let's see, how could we start saying our answer? And you can come up with, your answer yourself, but the question is, how would you describe Jim's reaction? When Jim finally sees the treasure, he blank, 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 dot, 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 okay? So how would you describe his reaction? Finish that sentence, or write your own. So you can pause the video, write it now, or just write the sentence starter and go back in and fill it in later, okay? Number 2, now that you've read the entire story, how do you think Jim changed over the course of Treasure Island? What is Jim like at the beginning of the story? How is he different at the end? Use evidence from the text to support your answer. So there's kind of 3 questions in this. How do you think Jim changed over the course of the story? What was he like at the beginning? And what was he like at the end? Okay. I think Jim changed during the story because ... And then a different sentence, we have to answer the other questions. What was he like at the beginning of the story? At the beginning, he was... And then how would you have described Jim at the beginning? And then another question, how is he different at the end? At the end, he was ... Okay, so those are your sentence starters for that question. So pause it there, write those down, or use your own. But pause it right now because I'm turning the page. Okay. Backside, 2 more. Number 3. How does Jim's perception of Long John Silver change over the course of Treasure Island? What does Jim think of him at the beginning of the story? What does he think of him at the end? Use evidence from the text to support your answer. So in the very beginning, when Jim first meets Long John Silver, what does he think of him? And then as the story progresses, how does Jim think of him at the end? Okay? Remember, Long John Silver went from being somebody who was teaching Jim about the ship and who was really excited to show Jim all the stuff about the ship and teach him things, and he just seemed like a really good guy. And then we find out he's a pirate, and he's the lead pirate. He's the ringleader, right? And then he takes over the ship, and he wants to be the captain, and he wants to kill all the good guys. And then eventually he kind of helps save Jim from the other pirates. So what does Jim think of all this? Okay, so at the beginning, Jim thinks ... So thinks what of John Silver? Okay. And then at the end, Jim thinks ... What does he think about Long John Silver at the end of the story? Remember to try and use evidence. Use some proof in your answers. If you say at the end of the story they're best friends forever, where's your evidence for that? Okay, number 4. The theme is the main idea or meaning of a story. 2 themes in Treasure Island are greed and duplicity. And then they tell us what those mean. Remember, greed means selfish desire for things one doesn't need. So being selfish for stuff you don't need is greed. And duplicity, the other theme, means dishonest behavior meant to trick someone. So like lying to trick somebody, okay? So the 2 themes of Treasure Island are greed and duplicity. Select one theme and provide examples from the text to support your choice. So pick one of those that you think is the main theme of the story. So there's 2. You could say, I think greed is the main theme because, or I think duplicity is the main theme because. And then you have to find some evidence, or not evidence exactly, but examples in the story. Like an example of greed is something. An example of duplicity is something. So there was a lot of greed. There was a lot of selfishness for stuff that people didn't need. Nobody needed that treasure, right? But there were a lot of people being selfish and greedy for it. And duplicity, that's lying to trick somebody. There was a lot of that too, mostly Long John Silver, but the other pirates also were very duplicitous. They were very dishonest, trying to trick the good guys. Okay, so I think the main theme is blank. And then which one? Greed or duplicity? It's your choice. There's no right answer. It's your opinion. Examples of this theme are ... And then try and come up with a couple of examples of either greed or duplicity, whichever one you chose. Okay? So if you want to finish these questions right now, while it's all kind of fresh in your mind since we've been talking about it, pause the video, do all these questions, and then continue the video for the rest of it, because the rest of it is all grammar and morphology stuff. It doesn't have to do with Treasure Island. So that's what I would recommend. Finish these questions, take a break, and then continue the video. Or save this page until the very end. It's up to you. Okay, moving on. Page 117 is a grammar page on coordinating conjunctions. Remember, conjunctions are the words and, so, but, and yet. And sometimes we need a comma, sometimes we don't. We've only practiced this once, so I don't expect you guys to be experts on the subject just yet, but that's okay. The example here says, "It was snowing really hard, so we waited to go to my grandmother's house." So we underline the conjunction, which is so, and they put a comma here because there's a subject and a predicate on this side of the conjunction, and there's a subject and a predicate on this side of the conjunction. Okay, so if there's subject, predicate, we put a comma. Number 1, we waited for my mom and dad to get home. Where's one of those words? Okay, first step is underlining it. And. Okay, in this one, we do not need a comma because it's just telling us, it's just a kind of listing two things. We waited for my mom and dad to get home. So we waited for my mom, there's a subject and a predicate, but on this side of the conjunction, dad to get home, that's not a complete sentence by itself, right? So we're not putting a comma right there. No comma for number 1. Number 2, I offered to carry their bags, but I didn't realize how heavy they were. So where's my conjunction? Underline the word but. So the subject is I, the predicate is offered to carry their bags. On the other side of the conjunction, the subject is I, the predicate is didn't realize how heavy they were. So since there is a subject and a predicate, and on this side a subject and a predicate, we do need a comma before the conjunction. Okay, so if we could cover up one side of the comma, so if we cover up that side, and is this a complete sentence? I offered to carry their bags. Yeah, that's complete. And if we cover up the other side of the sentence, I didn't realize how heavy they were, that's a complete sentence too. So it needs the comma. Number 3, a thunderstorm came through, so they told us to get out of the pool. My conjunction is so. A thunderstorm is my subject, came through is my predicate. On this side, if I cover that up, they told us to get out of the pool. That's a complete sentence because here's my subject, they, and the predicate is told us to get out of the pool. Subject, predicate, needs a comma. Number 4, she likes to write with pencils and he likes to write with pens. My conjunction is and. She is the subject, likes to write with pencils is the predicate. On this side, he is the subject, likes to write with pens is the predicate. So there's a complete sentence on this side, there's a complete sentence on this side, so we need a comma before the conjunction. She likes to write with pencils, and he likes to write with pens. Two complete sentences combined with the conjunction in the middle needs a comma. Number 5, they wanted to go to the bookstore, yet they didn't know how to get there. That one's a little harder to find since we haven't worked with that one very much, but it's yet. They is the subject, predicate is wanted to go to the bookstore. On this side, they is the subject, didn't know how to get there is the predicate. So we need a comma. They wanted to go to the bookstore, yet they didn't know how to get there. Two complete sentences. Number 6, I asked him a question, but he did not answer me. The conjunction is the word but, so I underline that. I is the subject, asked him a question is the predicate, he is the subject, did not answer me is the predicate. So subject, predicate needs a comma before the conjunction. I don't know if my dogs are going to notice it, but a UPS man just pulled up to drop off a package, and they might bark a lot, so sorry if they do. They're sleeping right here, so they might not notice. Okay, let's continue. Down here it says, choose the correct coordinating conjunction to complete the sentence and write it on the line. Words will not be used more than once. So you're only going to use this once. You can't repeat a word, except for the example. The example says, we met my uncle and aunt at the train station. Okay, so we're just picking one of the conjunctions to put in the word, in the blanks. They didn't notice. He's leaving. My dogs get very angry whenever anyone tries to come up to the door. They bark a lot. And then they're just like the nicest dogs in the world and just want to like lick and cuddle and play. Okay, anyway, number 1. She asked me to be on time, blank, she was late. I think there's a couple that could work. She asked me to be on time, but she was late, or yet would also work. She asked me to be on time, yet she was late. I think either of those. Let's save that one. I'm going to go back to that one. Number 2. They wanted to ride the Ferris wheel, blank, couldn't. They wanted to ride the Ferris wheel and couldn't? That doesn't make sense. They wanted to ride the Ferris wheel but couldn't. That makes sense. They wanted to ride the Ferris wheel so couldn't? No. They wanted to ride the Ferris wheel yet couldn't. That doesn't sound great. I'm going to put the word but right there and cross it out because I can only use it once. Number 3. He loves drawing, blank, painting. He loves drawing and painting. That makes sense. He loves drawing so painting. That does not make sense. He loves drawing yet painting. Nope. And is the only one that works there. Cross it out. Okay, number 4. I lost my notebook, blank. I had to go look for it. There's only 2 left. I lost my notebook, so I had to go look for it. That makes sense. I lost my notebook, yet I had to go look for it. That does not make sense. So that means yet belongs up here. She asked me to be on time, yet she was late. Yep. Okay. That's it for that page. On the back there's a challenge problem, but let's skip it. Pause that page if you need any of it. There's a challenge on the back. If you want to do that, go for it. We've got more to do though, so I'm going to continue with page 119. In this one, it's just morphology. We're just working with parts of a word. We're still dealing with the suffixes full and less. So remember, full at the end of a word means full of whatever the root word is, and less means lacking whatever the root word is. Okay, so for example, power is my root word. Powerful means full of power. Powerless means lacking power. Okay. Number 1, it is dangerous for Jim Hawkins to be in the coracle with blank waves crashing around him. Remember the coracle was the tiny little boat that he found that Ben Gunn had hidden? So it'd be dangerous for him to be in the little coracle with powerful waves crashing around him. Because the waves are full of power. Powerful, full of power. Okay. And this page isn't too difficult, so if you want to try it on your own first and then use this video just to correct your answers, that would be awesome. Number 2, Ben Gunn proves to be a blank person to Jim Hawkins. He's a helpful person, a helpless person, or a help person. I think he proves to be a helpful person. Definitely. Pretty much saves Jim's life. Number 3, before setting out on their voyage, Dr. Livesey tells Squire Trelawney that he must be blank to keep the treasure map a secret. So should he be careless, care, or careful to keep the treasure map a secret? He should be careful. Oh goodness. Hi, Ollie. Ollie, you can't be on camera right now. You might accidentally hit it and end the video and I'll kill you. Just kidding. I won't. I love you, but sorry. Number 4. Even though many crew members are disloyal, some remain blank to Captain Smollett and Dr. Livesey. Some crew members remain powerful, they remain helpful, or they remain faithful. So it's saying even though some of them were disloyal, so even though some of them were bad guys, some of them remain faithful. Okay, some of them were still faithful to Captain Smollett and Dr. Livesey. They were still on the good side. Number 5. Billy Bones is left weak and blank after Black Dog hurts him at the inn. Okay, this was like in the first or second chapter. He was weak and helpless. Helpless. Number 6. When Ben Gunn was marooned on the island, he was blank to leave. He was power to leave, he was powerful to leave, or he was powerless to leave. Powerless. He was lacking power to leave. He did not have the power to leave. Number 7. There's a struggle for blank between John Silver and his pirates and Captain Smollett and his crew. There's a struggle for help. There's a struggle for power. There's a struggle for carelessness. Power. Okay, there's that side. Pause it if you need it. All right, on the back is for you to do, but I'll explain it. It just gives you 4 words: success, successful, sense, senseless. So for each of those words, you write a complete sentence with that word in it. Make sure you do correct capitalization and punctuation. So this is one that you would turn in at school, normally for like a blue ticket or a perfect assignment ticket, whatever your teacher was calling it. We had our little blue ticket raffles. So correct capitals, correct punctuation, use that word in a sentence. Use that word in a sentence, okay? You can do that now or save it for the end of the video. And then this challenge page you can do if you'd like to, but I'm gonna skip it in the video. But page 121 is a challenge page, just still about the suffixes full and less, so if you'd like to do it, you can. Page 123, last page we're doing. Well, kind of doing. This is about the spelling words, and remember, spelling words are optional. You don't have to practice them, but it is good practice if you want to be prepared for 5th grade and life. Do as much practice as you can. So this is the word bank of all the spelling words, and then there's sentences where you fill in the blank, and on the back are the rest of them. Okay, so there's 12 sentences, 12 words. Find out where the words go. Okay, so you have to go back and do some work if you haven't paused the video. At the beginning of the lesson was the reflect questions. So if you didn't pause the video already and do that, pause the video, answer the reflect questions. There's front and back. Okay, conjunctions we finished. And then I guess just the back of this one with the 4 words. Write your sentences using them. Okay, so that's it for this lesson. If I look ahead real quick, I'll show you. Lesson 15 would be the assessments, so like the tests and stuff, okay? So spelling test, obviously, we are not doing for lesson 15. And then these are the big packets that in my class I tear out for you guys and I staple. So here's the reading comprehension test for 15 and questions about it. And then another reading passage and questions about it. Okay, and then there's the grammar test, front and back, and then there's a morphology test, front and back. So my gift to you is we're not doing the assessment at least in this video. If you want to do it for fun, if you know that sounds like fun to you, go for it. You can do it. So the next video after this one is just going to be help with writing your conclusion of your adventure story. Okay, so technically the last lesson for Treasure Island, but we still need to finish up our adventure stories. So I will still see you for another video. Bye guys.